Welcome back to the Virtual Handshake training where we're talking about implementing real-world proven selling strategies and how to turn those into success in the online world. And in Module 1 right now, we're going to be talking about positioning. Now, positioning is a loaded word and it can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but in the context of this course and our discussion here, this is really about making sure that your product or your service or whatever it is you are putting together in your offer, that it meets the needs of a market that already spends money. Okay, this is a huge distinction, and a lot of new entrepreneurs uh, make this mistake where just because you think it's a good idea or that you're passionate about the topic or you would buy X, Y, and Z does not mean that there's any money to be made here. So you always want to do a reality check. Think about your business idea and set that aside, and then take another look at the market in general, and then ask yourself the reality-based question of, do people actually spend money on stuff like this? And that can sometimes be a hard pill to swallow because you have been really excited about this, maybe you've been building plans, and then you suddenly start to realize that there really is no opportunity here. But a lot of the time, it's just a matter of re-looking at what your interest was and mapping it back in a different way to some market that spends money. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean using an example for you in just a second. But to me, this is the key here. The positioning idea is the reality check of what you want to do. Are there people spending money on this in some way, shape, or form? Now, before I go there, I want to talk about a common challenge here because right now this particular module is geared towards you as the new entrepreneur. If you're just getting started, if you're in that building phase, I'm speaking to you. So if that's not you, if you're an experienced entrepreneur, I believe there's still value here and you should still listen, but you're likely beyond this phase. This should be a revalidation of what you've already implemented. Here is a common challenge that I see. Somebody has a job, they want to quit, they want to become an entrepreneur, and they have a whole set of skills, right? In that whatever it is they were doing before, it could be a decade they were at a corporate gig doing something. They obviously got pretty damn good at what it was they were doing because they got paid a lot of money to do that. So there's a skill set there. There's a huge list of skills that they have. But then they become an entrepreneur and they kind of set those skills aside because, well, let's face it, they want to do something new. It's exciting, it's fresh to build your own business and to get into something new. And I get that, and you should. A new business should be an opportunity for you to expand your horizons and get good at new things. However, does not mean that you should ignore all of these bankable skills that almost are like predictable revenue generators for you. And that is the mistake I see a lot of people making is they focus just on the newness of their business, these new ideas and new things they want to do, and they scrap all of these existing skills because they link it in their brain to pain because it's part of the old job, and I hated doing that, and I used to be in sales, and I'm sick and tired of being a salesperson for a big company. I want to do this thing over here, and so it's how beneficial do you think it would be? This is a legit question for you to think about. How beneficial is it for you to just throw away all those skills that you've been developing for the past decade, in my example, just so that you can focus on this new thing? Obviously, you're setting yourself up for disaster if you don't at least integrate some of your previous skills. Just to give you a quick example, I've seen people. They used to be in a corporate role as a manager, a project manager or software programmer or salesperson, whatever, and then they want to get into an online business and start a blog where they're reviewing software and they're making affiliate commissions by recommending different software programs. But if you've never installed software, you've never been a software analyzer before, not only do you have a huge steep learning curve of just building that website and getting traffic to it, but now you have to get good at actually being a software expert. There's a massive gap in skill set here. A better option would be to start a blog that focuses on some things to do with what you used to sell. So maybe you used to sell something in the pharmaceutical industry. Well, now maybe you get into blogging dealing with the pharmaceutical industry in itself. A smaller gap there, leveraging existing skills, but still expanding your horizons. I think you see where I'm going here. So the ideal situation is where you can almost do like this Venn diagram here, where you find a sweet spot between existing skills that you have and then interests that you want to develop, because that's why you're getting into business, right? You want to expand on things that you're interested in and that you're passionate in. And then finding a market that already spends money and then combining those skills and those interests into offers where a market is spending money. That is your sweet spot. So this is still kind of theoretical. I want to give you an example that will really I hopefully tie this together for you. One of my coaching clients is has a background in the corporate world, management experience, and lots of, as you can imagine, if you're in the corporate world for many years, you develop tons of skills, from negotiations to management to selling to you name it. And he's got a massive skill set there and was very, very successful in his corporate life. But he also has a lot of different interests that don't really match that corporate background. And his particular interests were in the healing music arena. Relaxation music and music that you can, put on some headphones and get a lot of positive benefit for healing your life. And in fact, he used this in his own life to recover from certain problems that he had to deal with. So and he had in his own skill set, he also had some background and experience with actually creating that music and finding other producers of that music and finding some of their actual works that were available for redistribution. And so he had skills in the corporate world when it came to selling and managing. He had interest in this healing music, but then we took a look at the market. And if you look, how many people are out there right now saying, I need to go and buy some healing music right now? There are some people, but the market is pretty limited. If you were going to go and set up shop saying, I create healing music and you can buy it all from me exclusively, you're going to be facing a pretty steep hill to climb if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to build a very successful business. So we had to kind of re-examine this. We had to take a look at, well, what is it you really want to do here? And in the case of my client, he was really passionate about healing music, and he wanted to figure out a way to share his passion for healing music and the benefits that it can provide you by sharing his story of how it helped him heal his life and get more richness and more value and more calmness and happiness in his life. And he wanted to share that with other people in a way that he could make money doing it. And so we started taking a look at a much bigger market. So where do people actually spend money, and what's a closely related market? So in this particular example, there's a bigger market, especially in the online world, of general self-help or self-improvement. There's all kinds of people, literally millions of people, who go to the internet searching for self-improvement based programs. Anything from developing confidence to healing ailments to de-stressing to speaking better in front of an audience, you name it. Personal improvement is a huge, huge market, and I'm sure you already know that. So think about the indirect approach here. Should he go into business selling healing music, or is it a better idea to go into business in the self-improvement arena and find people who he can connect with by selling the benefits of healing music? Let's say you're out there as a self-improvement enthusiast looking for a way to de-stress, and you're looking for a stress release program, and maybe you've been buying some hypnosis products to date, and suddenly you see somebody who has a different approach to de-stressing. And you get a free report where the person's saying, hey, I've got this really cool way that helps people remove stress and kind of calm down a little bit and brings more health into their lives. And it's using a series of healing music techniques that you really probably haven't seen before. Sign up now, and I'd love to share my experiences with you. Here is an opportunity for somebody to combine a set of skills and a set of interests and package it and provide it in a way that a market that already spends money will be interested in. And that's the sweet spot that I want to kind of help you uncover, help you define here. So it starts with really making an understanding, or coming to an understanding, of what your skills, what your interests, and what potential markets you could get into. So let me give you an example of just a couple of my own. So some of my skills, I'm an entrepreneur now, but my background is in the corporate world. So in the corporate world, I used to do a lot of software consulting. And in the corporate world and in my entrepreneurship career, which I do right now, I did a lot of training, and I still do a lot of training. And going back to my corporate world, I also did a lot of telephone-based sales. I'd get on the phone with customers, and I'd convince them to buy stuff. And those were just three of the skills that I developed in those years. And actually, there's a fourth one here. I have now developed in the last few years skills as an entrepreneur. What am I interested in? Well, I'm obviously interested in entrepreneurship because I do that now. I have other interests in sports. I love all different kinds of sports and athletics and working out. Film production is a big one. I enjoy watching documentaries, and I like studying what people do to create a good documentary film, and just video production in general is of interest to me. And I also really enjoy training. What I'm doing right now is something that I'm not only skilled at, but I'm interested in doing it. It's something I'm always looking to do more of because I have fun doing it. And then there's some markets that I'm directly related to. So when I say market, I want you to think of people that you're connected to in different markets. So obviously I have a background in corporate software, in corporate world, so I know that market. I also have I have connections, and there's a market in formal education. So I have connections to people at universities and colleges and even high schools. And I've been paid by all three levels of those types of businesses to come in as a speaker. So that definitely is a market as well. And I also know people in the business coaching or just general coaching marketing arena. So here is what this whole concept, this whole chapter is all about. Let's take a look at that sweet spot that I was talking about in the Venn diagram on the previous slide. How do I find that sweet spot where there's a merge of all three of these things? Well, my skill set and my interests need to cross combine. I'm no longer interested in software consulting. That's where I quit the corporate world. I didn't really want to do that anymore. I was sick of it. And I didn't really enjoy telesales. I didn't like getting on the phone and selling that corporate software. But I do like training and entrepreneurship, so I'm going to leave those active and alive. Now, switching over to my interests. The interests, well, I love film production, I love sports, but I don't really have any particularly marketable skills in those things. I could develop them. I certainly could spend the next few years, going and getting education or getting an apprenticeship or going to work for companies that make money using those interests. But that's not something I can immediately monetize right now. So I'm going to cross those out, and what's left is entrepreneurship and training. Those are the two common pieces between my skills and my interests. And now let's look at the market. Well, from a corporate software perspective, again, I'm done with that. I don't want to go to the corporate world anymore. But what's left is formal education and business coaching, and I have actually created solutions. I've created products in my own business where I've cross-combined my entrepreneurship and my training skills and interests and created marketable opportunities both in the formal education industry and in the business coaching industry. I've been paid by colleges to go in and teach courses on entrepreneurship and training, and I loved doing it. It was a great way for me to monetize my skills and my interests. Same with business coaching. So what we're going to get you to do right now is the exact same thing. You're going to go and complete exercise 1. Well, you will list. Now, this is a simple example, but I want you to list all of your skills, as many as you can possibly imagine. Every marketable skill that you've ever achieved in your lifetime. Go back through all the different jobs that you've worked at. You've developed skills doing those things. Think about them, write them down, put them in a point form list. Do the same for your interests, and then do the same for different markets that you are aware of, and more importantly, that you are connected to. If you know somebody in a market, that's the ideal one to look at, because then you're connected to somebody who can likely introduce you to somebody that can maybe give you a selling opportunity. That's what we're doing here, is we're going to try to find that sweet spot for you where we cross combine your skills and your interests, and we start looking at markets, just like my coaching client did by combining his interest in healing music and the self-help industry. So go ahead and complete exercise number 1 right now.